Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming together to honor the memory, to escort Lou on his final journey. I know I'm standing off to the side. It's out of respect, but Lou would appreciate this. But just to explain, I'm a Kohen, which means I'm descendant of Aaron, the brother of Moses. And there's biblical restrictions on how close I'm allowed to come or what I can't be under the tree that's covering the grave. So I'm standing off to here, but it's out of respect and be keeping the traditions, which Lou appreciated, and he loved to discuss these things with me. So just to explain the context, but first of all, I'm deeply sorry to everyone in the family, Judith and family, very sorry. He was a great man. I looked, and the first email exchange we had was you guys came to the Seder, Passover Seder in Passover 2011. And the first email that we wrote to each other was on May 31st, 2011. It's like almost 14 years ago. And he was a special man, and I was very sad to hear his decline and of his passing. But we're here today to bring him to his final rest. And there's this tradition in Judaism is called the Halvayat Hamet, which is the levaya accompanying a deceased person on their final journey. It's considered a very important mitzvah, very important act that everyone who's here together. It's called Chesed Shel Emet, a kindness of truth. As at this point, whatever we do today to spend our time here, is strictly an act of kindness to honor Lou, to honor his life, and to escort him to the world beyond. And it's not something that he's going to pay us back for. It's something we just do to honor him out of doing the right thing, out of respect for his life. But I'm going to start with a psalm, two psalms, Psalm 23 and then Psalm 91, which are traditionally read at a funeral. And I'm going to share a few words after that. I'm going to recite it in Hebrew first, and then in English. מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא אחסר, בנות דשא ירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינהלני, נפשי ישובב ינחני, במעגלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות, לא אירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צוררוי. תשענת ושמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. A psalm by David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He revives my soul. He directs me in the path of righteousness for the sake of his name. Even if I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they will comfort me. You will prepare a table before my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup is full. Only goodness and kindness shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Lord for many long years. And one of those verses that King David said, he says, Ach tov v'chesed yirdafuni. He said, may goodness and kindness follow me. It actually means to chase me all the days of my life. And knowing Lou, I know till his last days, last months, last weeks, the things he communicated with me, even in the last year or two, were his concern for the good in the world, his concern for the good of humanity. He was deeply in pain about things that were happening in the Middle East and Israel. And his love for doing what was right, what was kind, what was just, was something that he lived with every day of his life. I'm going to say one more Psalm 91, which is traditional to say now. Yoshe Besezer Elion Betzel Shaddai Islonan Omal Adonai Machsi Im Sedosi Elahai Aftach Bo Ki Hu Yatzilcho Mipach Yakush Mideva Havot Be'avraso Yasech Lach Vesachas Knaf Aftech Set Sina Vesachera Amito Lo Sira Mipach Alayla Michetz Yaof Yomam Mideva Be'ofa Yahaloch Miketev Yashut Tzaraim Yipa misitcha ela faravava minecha elecha lo yigash rak beinecha sabit v'shilumas rishayim tira kiyata dini machsi l'santa meinecha lo yisauni elecha ro v'negra lo yikra ba'alecha ki malacha v'sava loch l'shmarcha b'chol derchecha al kapayim yisauncha ben tigoif ba'evan naglecha al shacha v'fezen tidrech timus ki v'sanin ki v'choshak v'falteo al sagveo ki yoder shmi yikreinu v'eneo ima anochi v'tzara achatzeo v'achadeo orech yamim asbeyeho ve'areho bishuati. With your permission, I'm going to share a few words. As I said, I know Lou and Judith for 14 years. And it's been an honor to know you, and it's been a very special for me to have known Lou. He's someone who impacted my life with his depth, his clarity, his authenticity. And I just also mentioned that this week we begin reading in synagogues around the world the portion of Bamidbar, the book of Numbers. And I saw in one of his notes, he wrote to me how he loved reading about the weekly portion, or my message about the weekly portion. So I think it's just appropriate to share a little idea there, where one of the ideas we mentioned about how the Jewish people lived in the desert. And the ideas discussed around this is why, of all places, were the Ten Commandments or the Torah, the Bible, why was it given to the people in the desert, not in the middle of some civilization? But I think Lou would appreciate this idea that the message was to take that which seems barren, that which seems lifeless, and learn to appreciate it for what it is. And how do you make that bring out life? How do you bring out life in a place where it's not so easy to bring out the goodness, the growth, the life? And as we read this portion, we think about this message that our job in this world is to take even the things that are challenging and discover the beauty, bring out the good, bring out the potential, and learn just to appreciate everything around us has that beautiful potential in it. And I think, knowing Lou, this was what he lived for, what he strived for, and how he wrote in bringing out the depth, the good in everything. But Lou leaves behind his dear wife Judith, his children Mark, wife Victoria, Robin, and husband Mark, Risa, Beth, and Kate, and his grandchildren whom he adored, Mildred, Sam, Avi, Lauren, Emily, Jennifer, Rachel, Ariana, and Cameron. He was someone who loved nature, history, the town of Stow, and wrote so often about this in his writings and columns over the years in different mediums and newspapers. I knew him as a deep and caring person, someone with deep principles and values, who was proud of his Jewish identity and always sought to bring that into action in living up to his values and the traditions in which he was raised. I have saved, I believe, all the letters that Lou would write, as each one was rich in its message, depth, questions, and sometimes the things he was grappling with or struggling with, not personally, but things he saw happening in the world which pained him, and how to reconcile these with our Jewish traditions and faiths and the values we stand for. Each one was a profound message and a testimony to the deep depths of his character, of his neshama, of his soul. Lou and Judith joined many of our classes, and he always added his rich commentary, insightful questions, and would often share a follow-up message or email with me with remarks, comments, and thoughts. And I enjoyed reading them. He was always positive. He always encouraged me. It became harder after he lost his hearing, and he was pained in that he wasn't able to participate in the same way. He tried a few times, but he continued to like to read the classes, and I would send him videos of what we were doing, and he always found a way to still comment and write. But I know it was much harder for him, but he still learned how to make even those years meaningful, deep, and he continued writing and being creative and deep the way he was. His love for learning, his Jewish traditions and values on which he was raised, his probing to understand more, and his grappling with the many complexities of life in today's modern world were things he thought about all the time. As I said, he found some of this painful and hard, but he always so expressive about what gave him hope in life, what encouraged him, what inspired him. And I know, on a personal note, he was very expressive to me how much he appreciated our connection. And he wrote some very beautiful remarks, which I appreciate. Will always remember what he wrote. He was really a man of peace, authentic, connected to his family, loved his family, connected to nature, connected to the world around us, connected to his community, to this town of Stow, which he loved, and was always seeking to live and share this message in the depths of who he was, in his own gentle and kind way with others. He will be missed, but as we say in Judaism, there's an expression from the prophets, "V'hachai yiten el libo," which means the living take to heart. And as we are here today to honor Lu, Liba Chaim, which is his name itself is about the love of life, we think about what we can take forward from who he was, from his values, what he stood for, and to continue to share his light with the world. May his memory be a blessing, and may you go in peace on high, and continue to be an advocate for everything you loved, your family, your community, and the world, as you so deeply cared for. I'm going to ask now his granddaughter, Ariana, to come share a message.
Oops, one moment, please. Actually, we'll put the actual poem up first. All right. All right, hi everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Ari. I am one of Lou's grandchildren, and I'm just here to speak a few words about the lovely man that he was. So as many of us know already, he was an absolute wizard at the computer, and for all of which that he loved the computer, I figured what better way to honor him than to have the computer write a poem about him. So I'll be reciting this poem about our Lewis Halprin. Lewis Halprin, the legend of Stow. There once was a man with a giant glint in his eye who walked through this world with his head held high. Lew Halprin, they'd whisper, the wise and the bold, a heart full of stories, a soul made of gold. With pens in his pocket, always ready to write, he planned every day from morning to night. His calendar sacred, each date marked with care, every birthday and milestone thoughtfully there. A collector of stories and antiques galore, each piece in his home held legends and lore. He crafted each day with projects and plans, pens in his pockets, tools in his hands. Books full of history, hometown pride, his voice in his pages, his heart as the guide. He wore orange with pride, his signature hue, a color as bright as the joy he drew. From ice cream delights to warm borscht stew, he found magic in moments, both old and in new. Oh, the pranks he would play with a mischievous grin, but our Slurpee surprise kisses always would win. To know him was fortune, to love him was grace, his presence a beacon, a warm, steady place. The Black Eagles played, he'd tap in the beat, their jazz-weaving memories mellow and sweet. A master of keyboards, both music and keys, he moved through the screen, whirled with elegant ease. Proud of the pages he penned with such care, histories of hometowns, rich, wise, and rare. In Stow, he was more than a neighbor or a friend. He was the heartbeat, the voice, a hand to lend. Respected, admired, beloved till the end, a legacy written that time cannot bend. He wrote of his hometown with passion and pride, preserving its history and stories so they'd never hide. A historian, a neighbor, a beacon so bright, he gave Stow its voice, its heart, and its light. Now he's gone from our sight, but never our hearts. His legend lives on in all of our parts. In laughter in orange, in the songs that we play, Louis Halprin, our treasure, lives on every day. Thank you.
It's very moving. I remember the pens in the pocket. What a beautiful poem. And just thinking where he chose this spot under this massive oak tree. Man is the tree of the field. It's I think a symbol of his tall depth, who he was. But at this point, we're going to lower the casket. And then following that, we're going to do the Il Malei Rachamim, the memorial prayer, and the Kaddish. And after that, if anyone wants to share, we'll do that after we lower the casket. And once we lower the casket, the tradition is to cover it with earth. And we'll start off with the family members. And then the tradition is not to pass the shovel one person to the next, but to put it back down. And also the first shovels, we do it with the back of the shovel, as just sharing that this is not something we wish to do. It's a painful moment, but we do it as this is the last act of kindness we can do. Okay, and at this point, we can push if a wheelbarrow. If we can move the wheelbarrow a little closer, and then the family can start first, and then whoever wants to do this final act of putting some earth, as we say in the Jewish tradition, me'afa bata ve'el afa tashuv, from dust you came, from dust you shall return. And as this is being done by family and friends, I'm going to read the prayer in a moment. There's a special prayer that we read now at the end of the funeral, but you begin again. Hatzur tamim pa'alo kichol deracha mishpat el amuna ve'en aver tzadik v'yashar hu. Hatzur tamim pa'chol po'al מיום הלא תפעול, השלט במטה במעל, מי משמחיה מוידת של ויעל, הצור תמים בכל מעשה, מיום הלא תעשה, אוי מבייסה חסד חינם לנו תעשה, ובזכוס הנקד כסה הקשיבם ועשה, צדק בכל דרכיו, הצור תמים, ערך אפיים, ומלא רחמים, חמל נא וחוסנו על אבי סבונים, כי לך עדינו סליחס ורחמים, צדק עתו עדינוי, lahams alachies, Shabiyotcha, Pigden Koruches, Halila Lacha, Zechenenu Limches, Veyi Urnavi Necha Barachmadeno, Fakuches, Kilacho Adin Rachim Asiches, Odom Ben Shona Yeh, Vay Elef Shonim Yichye, Ma Yisrin Loi, Kilehoya Yeh, Baruch Dayan HaEmes, Memis Machaye, Baruch Hu Kien Emes Dinoi, Omeshetet HaKel Bienoi, Meshalem Liotem Cheshbeinoi, Vedinoi, Vehakar Lishmei, Haidaya Yitenu. Yadaynu Adinoi Ki Tzedek, Mishpatecho, Titzak, Bedavrecho, Vesiske, Beshavtecho, Ve'ela Harach Hamidas Shvatecho, Tzaddik Ata Adinoi, V'yoshem Mishpatecho, Dayan Emes Shevet Tzedek V'emes, Baruch Dayan Emes, Shekol Mishpato Tzedek V'emes, Nefesh Kol Chai V'yodecho, Tzedek Molo Mincho V'yodecho, Rachim Aplita Tzin Yodecho, V'teimar, Lamaloch Heref Yodecho, Gedel Ha'etzo, V'rav Aliniyo, Sheinecho, V'kuches, Akol Tarchi B'nihotom, Laseis Ishkedracho, V'chifri, Melalo, Lahakid, Ki Yosh Adinoi, Tzudi, V'alosaboy, Adinoi Noson, Adinoi Lakoch, Yehi Shem Adinoi Mevoirach, V'urach Michapiyom V'liyashes, V'hi B'lo Shabapay, V'lo Yoikol Chamasei. So at this point, I'm going to say memorial prayer, the El Malei Rachamim. Mark, maybe we can do this together. So it's Liba Chaim, and remind me.
Liba Chaim, Yaakov Zalman.
Thank you. O God, full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant true rest upon the wings of the Shekhinah, the divine presence, in the exalted spheres of the holy and pure, who shine as a resplendence of the firmament to the soul of Liba Chaim ben Yaakov Zalman, the son of Yaakov Zalman, who has gone to a supernal world for charity, has been donated in remembrance of his soul. May his place of rest be in Gan Eden, in paradise. Therefore, may the remembrance of his soul be a place of rest in Gan Eden. Therefore may the merciful one shelter him with the cover of his wings forever, and bind his soul in the bond of life. The Lord is his heritage, may he rest in his resting place in peace, and let us say Amen. We're going to say it in Hebrew. El malei rachamim, shoichem bamroimim, hamsei menucha nechoina kamfei hashchina, b'maloi esket ha'ishim, otahoidim gezaya rakiya, mazhirim, es nishmas li b'chayim ben Yaakov Zalman sholach l'olamo, bavu shenat v'ustaka, be'ad askardas nishmas Masoi, Beganei Tentei Manuchasoi, Lachem Balarachamim, Yasinei Hovasei Kanaf of their Lamim, Bisoy Besrachayim Esishmasoi, Adonai Honachalosoi, Vayanuach Amishkavai Beshalom, Veneimar Amen. Now, the final prayer that we're going to do is the Morning's Kaddish, and I'll give you. Do you want to take the book? It's transliterated in English. Here, hang on. It's here. Okay. You got it with everyone?
Yeah, I could.
You good?
To bring me to the Minchai Peak Test. Yikadal, Yikadash, Melagog. Yamad, Yivraki, Hotel. I hold of Yomefon of Paeda Propati Soil. Basil Rabbits, Manco, Red, Say Robin, and Drop. Kanaka. The lot, the Mishkabak, the Arsi cannot be the Grasso. He tried the army to legis allow Shmei different shop or she. They allow me top your kata the share time. Tushka kata the weapon later. Down the around the Amavi and Muri Ameg. And got out Sertoner are toned the full bitch Israel. How down Avalundi the Shmaya even the Mego. The least Namarado min Shemaya, the Thai, Aluni the Alpay sorting the Muri Ameg. Ose Shalom ben Ramas, Hui Ose Shalom. Aleinu v'alkol Yisrael, b'imru Amen.
And the family requested, it's also being streamed for Stow TV, being that Lou was such a central part of this community. If anyone here would like to come up and share a few words to honor his memory, please do so.
Well, I could not resist. Can people hear this? Oh, too bad. At any rate, I'm Dick Helpke. I'm not from Stow. I'm from Hudson, the adjacent town. But I got to know Lou through, well, a lot of things. One of my earliest remembrance was the birthday parties. And anybody remember those? Way back when? I thought they were the craziest thing I ever heard of, but what a blast. They were great. Never thought of holding my own birthday party and inviting a bunch of people. I thought they just came because they liked me, but now I know better. At any rate, to be brief, Lou and I worked together on several books, and I either credit or blame him for getting me into that business. Yeah, you know. Yeah. We had a great time doing that, and I spent a lot of time in Lou's study upstairs in the tiny house looking across that fabulous view of the first basin. You could look down and see the dam, and it was just great. And I always treasure those moments. It was a really fun time. And I wrote up just a page that I can leave with Judy, where she is. Ah, there she is. And I end that. I put in a couple of things that I kind of remember, but the very last thing, I tried to think of a word that summarized Lou. And it's very difficult to have one word to summarize somebody. But the word I came up with, and I certainly hope people take this in the manner in which it is offered. The word that, and I went to the dictionary to make sure, the word was quirky. Is there anything else I can say? It was wonderful. Yeah, and he'd really be missed. Really be missed. Okay, next up. Uh-oh, here comes Dave.
Yeah, to be very brief, the word that came to my mind about Lou was just a love of community. Every project that he undertook was to benefit other people in the community. Around the lake, around the town, even the next town, he cared for everyone. And he was very humble, very hardworking, and I just enjoyed so much being with him and shared his fascination with technology and all that went with it, but it was all to benefit other people.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to share any?
Oh, we will? Oh, yeah, yes. Okay.
I want to share with you what Lou first wanted on his grave. He wanted a statue. The statue was to raise his hand high because it was located right here, and he wanted to say hello to everybody. The cemetery committee did not want that, but it was just a sample of his sense of humor and his unwillingness to really say goodbye. Thank you all for coming.
Anyone else?
I just wanted to say that Alan Cattell and Lou and Dick Gelpe have given us a wonderful memory of our lake. It's been an amazing time. Every boat parade, he was down filming the boat parade. The writings and the books remain with us. And this wonderful woman that he was married to, he supported, the family support, and having this famous painter on the lake is also an amazing gift. So, thanks.
Okay, to conclude the ceremony, the funeral, it's customary for in the Jewish tradition to have two lines on either side as the mourners, the family, walk through. And we could just create a line on either side. We could just do it over here as they head away from the grave, and then we'll say together the traditional greeting that we say, which is "May God comfort you among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem," which we'll say together in Hebrew and in English as they walk through. But first, we can just have a couple of people line up on this side and some on this side as we honor the family, and just careful the wire not to trip. Let's say together, may God comfort you among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. Hamakom yenachem etchem betoch shar avelei Zion v'Yerushalayim. May you only know of good health. May Lou's memory be a blessing for all who knew him.